And we are live.
Nice.
So if I press this button, magic things will happen.
Having a problem getting on.
Yeah, might as well let people know we're live now.
I am having a problem getting on to monitor the show.
And we've got one or two people watching already, which is cool. I'm going to say it again during the actual hangout because it's true. The one thing that really kind of touches me about the hangouts is that people are making it a regular part of their Sunday, and I'm really touched by that.
I like all these new photos. These are cool.
They're cool, aren't they?
Yeah.
A bunch of them from WonderCon. Thank you very much indeed, Jason Coe, for getting his. One or two from Barbara as well, who sent some in from the press rooms. Hopefully we're going to do a post tomorrow with a bunch of her pictures. They're very, very cool. Don't forget, if you're watching, if you want to get your favourite memories of cons, recent, past, love some old ones. I'd really like to see some vintage, like Comic-Con memories, like 70s and 80s. I'd love to see those. Send them in, pics@englishmaninsandiego.com. I'd love to see them.
Are you able to get onto the Q&A?
It's a very good question because there's one question, and that's it.
I am not able to. I'm in the Plus Google Hangout. I'm in the Hangout, and I see the countdown clock, and I'm clicking on the Q&A button, and I am not being taken to the normal sidebar.
Don't know. I'll keep an eye on the questions. Oh, no, we've got some. The questions are coming in.
Okay.
I'll have to keep an eye on that for you.
Well, I need to post. I was going to post a few links myself during the event.
Yeah.
Who's taking this photo of John Barrowman? Amazing.
I know that. Well, that's Danbury, of course. So yes, we're going to be on air in about 2 minutes. If anyone wants to spread the word and let everyone know that we're going to be talking hotel sales, we're going to be talking a little bit of Batman, Superman. We're going to be talking a couple of the headlines as well that has come up over the last 7 days. And I will try and not cough a lot. Because I get this nasty feeling I've got con crud from the hangouts from the last 2 weeks, because Alyssa was just running around like a headless chicken.
I am just so glad that I don't think I gave it to my roommates at WonderCon. That was my my biggest thing, frankly.
Excuse me. I did have a comment on the Q&A. I'm going to bring this up now before I sort of go to the live show. From Jason Coe. Love the new look of the website, Leonard. Much cleaner and organised. I haven't changed a thing. Sorry to say, Jason, but I haven't. What I have done is put a new background on. It's like a demonstration of what I can do with the background for anybody that wants to advertise with an Englishman in San Diego. If you go to an englishmaninsandiego.com/contact-us, and we will discuss terms and conditions. Hello, Michael P. From Colorado Springs. I thought you were an SD boy, sir. So there we go. That's our 5 minutes. Once again, if you do want to jump in on the pics, do send them to pics@anenglishmaninsandiego.com. We'd love to see your favourite con memories. That'd be great. So it's Sunday, which means it's Talking Comic-Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. My name's Leonard Sultana. I am an Englishman in San Diego. It is 108 days to San Diego Comic-Con 2016. If you have been, if you are deep into con territory at the moment, I know that there's been some amazing events in the last couple of weeks. Hopefully you've enjoyed your time, and this has kind of really gotten you into the spirit of your con summer. Hope you enjoyed C2E2. Hope you enjoyed WonderCon. I know that someone who absolutely did is my partner in crime, who is down there somewhere. Hello, Alyssa. How are you?
I'm finally recovering after getting a case of con crud and diving full bore into hotel sales. The one first thing that I do want to mention too is thank you to everybody who's donated on my forum. I just recently opened up a new area for donations and subscription services with no ads and lanyards and the like with various incentives, and the response has been overwhelming, and thank you.
Excellent. Well, I mean, this is why you may not notice this, but Alyssa is now working on a new desk at the moment, which is gold laminated. So if you may see a slight glare off Alyssa's camera.
Okay. Now you're going to force me into taking another 2 minutes and explain what the donations are for. Which we're moving away from Google Docs and into I want to do Jopari and I want to develop a web app, so we're going to be able to handle more people. Unfortunately, what I've had to do for our Google Docs is kind of limit it to active forum members and not been able to accept everybody. First-time posters who come in and are looking for hotel rooms, because our Google Docs simply cannot handle the influx. So hopefully, with all of the new donations next year, we'll be able to handle a lot more people.
Fantastic. Do head along to friendsofcc.com for more information. So there we go. And we are also joined by somebody who's got lots to talk about today and is going to be making lots of positive contribution to the Hangout. Mr. Mark Serby is joining us. Hello, Mark. How are you, sir?
Yeah, very good, thanks, Leonard. I'm going to, whilst you're talking hotels, I'm going to run off and quickly change into my Superman outfit, and then quickly change into my Batman outfit, and then back to Superman and back to Batman. So it'll be good.
Yes. Are you saving Wonder Woman for, I don't know...
After, well, there is a curfew here in the UK, 9 p.m. After 9 p.m. you can show certain things, so, But okay. Having said that, I am wearing my Riddler top. If you can see that.
Where you're going to go with that.
Yeah, no, I'm wearing a Riddler top because obviously we're going to, hopefully unriddle the riddle that is Batman versus Superman later. Okay.
Yes, we are going to be talking about that, absolutely. Number one, thank you very much indeed for joining us if you're watching on YouTube. If you do put a comment on the YouTube channel, we won't necessarily get around to seeing it. I do get notifications, but the best way to get your questions in is on the Google Plus event on the Q&A. We've got 1 or 2 people joining us. We've got Michael P. from Colorado Springs, Aaron Neighbors from sunny San Diego. Excellent. We also have South Dakota. We've got Craig Linders joining us. Jump in on the Q&A. Let us know, number one, where you're watching from. Number 2, are you taking part in the hotel sale? Any questions that you have, do let us know, and we'll do what we can to cover all of those in today's show. We do also take, excuse me, wow. We do also take a couple of questions on the Twitter, so please do use the hashtag #CupOTSDCC. I do keep an eye on those as well, but the best way is the Google Plus Q&A. So plenty of things to talk about when it comes to this Tuesday. It is going to be 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. midday Eastern, and 5 p.m. GMT on Tuesday, the April the 5th. It is the Comic-Con 2016 hotel reservations. Organised in conjunction with a company called On Peak, which was previously Travel Planners, and off the back of last year's pretty disastrous hotel sale, considering that they basically had the same issues that they have every year, and also which the badge sales had, which is the massive influx of people diving in on the website. It ended up looking like DDoS attacks, things just collapsed, forms fell apart. It just turned into a nightmare, and they ended up having to restart the sale several times before they actually got things kind of working. This year, they are introducing those magic words, randomization process. Oh, joy. It's what we all love. Congratulations on the unofficial blog, by the way, on their April Fool's page of everything at Comic-Con is turning random. That was a nice touch. Although they could have added the whole business that if you are wanting to use the bathroom, you have to roll a dice. That would have been a nice touch, I think. And but well, there you go. That's the way it works. So yes, I think the best thing to do. Shall we do kind of like a rundown, a walkthrough of the process, Alyssa? What would you say?
Sure, but I'm going to assume that a lot of people have already read everything that CCI has put out.
You see, I always assume that there's people who have never been before. I'm always one of those kind of people. Right,
and I'd say briefly go over what CCI has put out.
Okay. Well, I mean, the way that, so let's have a quick summarization then. This is from the Talkin blog that they launched, or which they released at the end of the weekend, or beginning of the weekend. How it works: badge holders will receive an email at least 48 hours before April the 5th. Those emails have gone out. Yes, they are already in people's inboxes. If you haven't received them, they are going out in batches. So don't panic. You're looking pretty soon. Okay, but they are in inboxes now. I mean, I received mine about 5 hours ago. Contain a link to the On Peak hotel reservation website. The form submissions begin on Tuesday, the April 5th, around 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Midday, and 5 p.m. GMT. Hang on to that email. You will need it to access the site. Not necessarily true, because it's also going to have that link on the Comic-Con website as well. So it's going to be on the hotels page of Comiccon.org. You will have to cut and paste the URL into your browser window. After April the 8th, when the hotel reservations website reopens, you can visit the hotels page to access the On Peak site to make changes and cancellations to your reservation. To get to the website, you will be asked to list 6 hotel choices in order of preference. Everyone making a hotel reservation will be asked to do this, and it must be 6 choices. Study the hotel list PDF to pick your choices in advance, so you're ready on Tuesday. There are 57 hotels in this room block. I mean, the one thing it does say is that additional hotel rooms may become available as we get closer to Comic-Con. I think that's something we can start the conversation with, Alyssa. It's something that I brought up briefly on the Periscope when we were just getting set up. That this year, because of that, the randomization process and the democratic process that's been introduced, it does mean that it's not fastest on the fingers as such. Which means that there are going to be a lot more people that are going to be returning badges this year because they haven't got the hotel rooms or anywhere to stay.
A number of things. First off, there will always be hotel rooms in Mission Valley. Okay, so people can always get a hotel room. They may not be able to get a downtown hotel room, but they can always get a hotel room. So let's just put that in the background. Yeah, that you will find a place to stay. If you have a badge, you will find a place to stay. That's the first thing. The second thing is that yes, the randomization is going to throw things into the mix. However, since On Peak is allowing us to go in batches, batch A versus batch B. Batch B is only going to be as fast as one of the members of batch A. So if you're in batch B, for example, you're going to be competing against all other batch B people. You may be able to compete against some of the batch A people. It depends on whether or not they lump us in all at once, or if somebody comes out, they allow one of the batch B people to go in. So it's a little tricky in terms of that. It's still, this is according to Carrie from the unofficial blog. She called up One Peak a couple of days ago, and I actually wrote down what she said, and let me see if I could find the quote. But the point was that you still have got that 3-second window. It's not, and I'm not making much sense, and I do apologize for that. But the reason, the thing is that it's still, how fast you fill out the form is still very much in play, because if you take 10 minutes to fill it out, you're going to be 10 minutes behind the person that filled it out in 30 seconds.
So it's not going to be kind of like a locked room allocation in much the same way, say with the badge sale, that when you go in, the available rooms that are in, when you enter that process, it's not going to be like that. It's a case of it's still fastest on the fingers.
It's fastest on the fingers within whomever is in the buying area at that point. So yes, it's very much fast fingers. There is a practice, 2016 practice thing that I'm going to find and put up in a moment. It is in our restricted area on the forum, and I believe it's in the public post too, where people can go and practice the submission. It's not the regular. It's not a full, exactly what you're going to see. It's a practice form that we've had for a number of years, and I'll put that link up shortly. So the point being is that it's still practice to improve your odds. You will get a hotel room. It's whether or not you get the downtown hotel room that you want.
Sure.
Is going to be the big thing. So, back to your... back to...
We've got a comment from Michael Leventhal. Do know your 6 choices before the sale. Don't just go into the sale looking at what hotels are available. It's probably a good idea, actually. There's if you do head to gbreviews.com, they have year in, year out done a very good element to their site where they have reviewed the hotels. Very, very good resource to check out. That's gbreviews.com. So do check that out. Although Michael P. has just commented that if you are a millionaire, you can in fact bypass all of this by making a reservation at the Marriott Marquis for $899 a night as of right now. So if that's an option for you. So there we go. So, I mean, what have been the main comments on the forum, or the main questions that have come forward? I mean, obviously, I can imagine there's a lot of people that are just not happy at the fact that this is now a randomization process.
Right. I mean, just start from the beginning. We've got, what does a duplicate submission mean? Maybe I'm jumping in towards the end of it, but one of the things that CCI has said, or On Peak I should say, has said is that duplicate submissions will be, the first one will be thrown out, and the duplicate that is the later will be applied. But how do they determine what's a duplicate? Say you've got a name like John Smith. Well, there's a few John Smiths out there. So does that mean that if somebody else submits a John Smith after you, your application is going to get bumped? It's also, do they go off of an address? Do they go off of a name? There was some suggestion about it going off of an IP address, and that's pretty much, I just want to put that one to bed, that we're pretty confident that they're not going to use an IP address. CCI has been fairly adamant that they don't want to penalize people in dorm rooms and who have multiple access points, free Wi-Fi Starbucks and you know, those types of people. So we're pretty confident that it's not that. Phone numbers. So there's a little question about what duplicate means. That's one of the questions. And one of the other things that I've got going is when we get in, one of my questions that we don't know yet is when we get into the, they've sorted us at 9 a.m. Pacific time. I think that's the right time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. They have the numbers. Once they've sorted us, are we going to get a countdown? So can we say, you know, I've got 10 minutes. I can go to the bathroom. So
yeah.
we don't know.
I really don't think that's going to be the case.
I don't think so either. And oh God, I wish it was. I wish.
Well, I mean, that's going back to sort of where you are on the pecking order for badge sales. It's going to be it's a request that people are going to put forward every single time. It's just not going. I don't feel it'll ever happen. I don't think
the system is designed by Qt. It's not a system that's designed by CCI. So we're not using the same Cheerio scenario that we used before. They may very well take everybody who's in the waiting room at 8:55 and sort us into an order. We don't know that. At which point they could say to us, "Hey, your number a gazillionth in line, you're out of luck." Yeah. Or not. We don't know that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
I mean, the other element as well that has been suggested by Sarita P on the Q&A is regarding the phone calls, in terms of that you don't necessarily have to use the forms. You don't have to use the link. You can actually call on Peak directly and ring in your suggestions. How does that work? How do those forms? I mean, at the end of the day, are they just going to be filling out a form at their end? Is that going to be a slower process? Is that going to help? Very curious to see how that's going to add into the pecking order. We've got a couple of questions coming in on the Q&A. Let's see what kind of like initial sort of like responses we get from these. This is from I think it's Danger Daphne. This is somebody who's just joined us on the Hangout. So thank you very much indeed, first time. So is using a team an option for the hotel sale, like we do for the tickets? In our case, we have myself and a husband who want a room. We have a friend who lives in San Diego who is willing to team with us to help, but we don't understand how that will work, if indeed it will work. Teaming is going to be something that people can do because if you are staying with somebody, if it's something that you kind of like want to put into the process, if you're staying with somebody, two people going for the form, that will obviously help in terms of teaming up in that regard. In terms of actual teaming for separate rooms, I'm not too sure how that works myself. Alyssa, maybe you can kind of clear that up.
Well, there's a couple of things that can be done. Yes, teaming works, but again, that goes back into the duplicate submissions problem of what constitutes a duplicate. Say me and a friend of mine are teaming up, Joe Smith. Are teaming up. Joe Smith puts me down as a secondary. I put Joe Smith down as my secondary. Is that considered a duplicate? You know, we have different phone numbers, we have different addresses. That's kind of the problem with the duplicate submissions that we're not quite sure of. But that certainly is one way of doing it. The other way is if you do get one is the hotel exchange forums that will be available to people who are active on our forum. So I suppose that you could go larger, but that starts to get a little tricky in terms of especially when you consider the whole duplicate submission thing. A larger group, I'm saying.
Yeah. Now, obviously, Mark is kind of like in the background. If there's anything that we're saying as part of this conversation, if that either doesn't make sense, I want you to be our moderator on this, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tricky for me to advise people to do something that is not
morally ambiguous.
Right, because they could get into problems, and I don't want to be responsible for people getting into problems. You know, I can't. My karma can't take that.
Understandable. So in terms of team, I can only really imagine teaming only working as in pairs. I suspect.
Well,
like Alyssa says, that it can prove problematic as well. This is a very good point, and it's something that we're going to talk about for now. It's a lottery, yet still got to be fast with the form once in. How does this even make sense? This is from Scott. I'm not entirely sure how on earth to pronounce your surname, sir. Kulu. I'm not entirely sure. I'm just going to say Scott. Thank you very much indeed for your question. Now, yeah, this is where the whole idea of the randomization is just going to prove very problematic with everybody involved, and I think this could very easily turn around and bite on peak on their arse. I think it just adds another layer of awkwardness to a situation which already was problematic to start with. In terms of the actual process of the speed, I think the
randomization thing that brings up a whole host of issues. I mean, somebody has even suggested, well, let's make it like the parking lottery, and just go off of email addresses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The representative of OnPeak has stated that the forms are going to be processed in 3-second intervals of the order they are received, which is just going to...
Which means that speed in filling the form out is still critical, because you're still competing against whomever is in the room at the same time as you are. Now, I mean, it's not going to be critical if you're 45 minutes out from the opening of the sale, but it's going to be critical probably if you're in the first, I would say, at least 15 minutes of the sale. Guesstimates on my account, I have no idea how long it's going to take us to do this. But the concept of randomization, when there are systems out there that can place us in order, is an interesting one, and I believe Carrie brought this up on the forum, and hats off to her for pointing this out. Who made the decision to randomize after knowing that there is a way that we can line people up and order people? And I think that it's a very valid point, and I think that she was addressing the issue of who made this decision to randomize us, and that's inherently a CCI decision. I mean, CCI is big on the randomization, so I think CCI, in my guesstimation, going, from what she is kind of where she's led us, I'm thinking that CCI has made the decision and told OnePeak to randomize us, make it fair to everybody, not just the people who've got the fast T1 lines and can, F5 the quickest. So that's my thought, is that that's why randomization.
I kind of saw it as more of a case of OnPeak seeing that they had this issue that they had to address. They saw that Comic-Con had got this situation, this setup that they had arranged in terms of badge sales, and that people had become familiar and accepting of it, But the thing about it is the way that the CCI badge sale is addressed. There's a little bit more transparency about what is actually happening in terms of when you enter the process, that you know that you have a certain amount of hotels, a certain amount of badge options that are locked and open, locked to you once that process is opened. With this, it just seems very much more a case of you're filling out a form, and it's still very much a case of it's not. While you're filling out that form, it's still up in the air. I think that's what people are getting very concerned about. That's what my take on it is, because it is two different processes, but it's OnPeak's attempt at replicating the CCI badge sale approach.
Well, I actually had a conversation with Dave, and it's David Glanzer, and one of the things we basically agreed that it's hard for CCI to tell vendors what to do. Once you hire a vendor, they're going to do what they're going to do, unless you give them parameters and say, you know, okay, we want you to randomize the process prior to going into the buying room. They're going to have their own take on it, their own technological take on it. So I can understand OnPeak not telling us as completely as CCI does, because I think that CCI is very responsive and wants to honestly help people understand what the process is going to be and understands the fanaticism that we the way I see what OnPeak have said and the way that the hotel sale has been approached, it's more a case of where CCI are being very helpful to the attendees of Comic-Con. This whole process seems very much more a case of this is being very helpful to themselves because they don't want their system melting like it has done in previous years. It seemed that the reason why they've done it is not for the attendees. The reason they've done it is for themselves, so they don't have to go and hire a bunch of people to look after their servers on a given. Well, yeah, but I mean, if you got a bad form last year, it was pretty unhappy. No. I mean, we're pretty unhappy. There was a lot of people who got bad forms, and you know, not getting a bad form, you know.
Yeah. Let's go through a couple of the questions on the Q&A. Thank you very much indeed for getting these in. Janine Lecaro, I really want a downtown hotel for my family, but with the lottery and not knowing how long this process will take, I've taken the day off from work to participate. I don't think that was absolutely necessary, because I do think that once the 60 minutes is done, I think Alyssa, you're kind of shaking your head a bit.
I asked for the day off too, but I work part-time, so I could have, you know, it was easy for me to time shift.
Sure.
But I totally get her reasoning for needing the time, because, and that's what a lot of my forum members are saying is, how do I manage this? This is on a Tuesday, especially for the East Coasters. It puts us right around lunchtime.
Yeah.
So this is the middle of the workday for a lot of people. And to stick us in a queue without an idea about how long it's going to take is troublesome for a lot of working people.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much indeed for your question, Janine. Is anyone else taking the full day off? Do let us know on the Q&A and let us know what your process is going to be for Tuesday. Let's have a look. Sarita P, again, also a point is that those with badges get the link, and those without badges can just go onto the website where they can possibly get a downtown hotel. Yeah, the whole idea that it's not attached to member IDs, I think, is possibly. The listener is now really shaking her head. I personally think that I don't know. There could have been more communication with CCI in organising this, and I think with member IDs, I think it would have helped. I don't know.
It would have helped. The problem is vendors. And you know, all of the attending people that support the con that don't have member IDs. Yeah. So, and I think that there may have even been a legal issue with regards to it. I seem to recall a couple of legally minded folk posting that there's a California issue about about restricting hotel rooms to a certain population. I don't remember the specifics of it, nor can I quote it. I wish I could, but I sympathize and understand with the desire to have it restricted to people with member IDs.
Yeah.
It would be very nice if it would, but think about the secondary, the people like the Assassin's Creed obstacle course people. I mean, they've got at least probably 10 or 15 folks who are supporting them, and they all need a place to stay. So the Assassin's Creed company is going to have to try and find places for them and to stay. Now, they may be serviced through the vendor policy on peak. I don't know, but they need rooms too, and they don't have member IDs. So I think that's what it's trying to address.
Yeah. Sarita P is actually taking a half day off. I quite like this comment as well from Jason Coe. I've asked to work remotely from home on Tuesday. He's also rescheduled his much needed dentist appointment for late afternoon. Something tells me that if it's a choice between root canal and the hotel sale, it's a real tough call about which one you'd actually want to go through, to be honest.
Can I just say something here? He might need the dentist after with the amount of grinding of teeth people will be doing. So it might be worth him going later in the day.
Yeah.
It's the 3 days between when you submit and when you know.
Yeah.
It is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
Just 3 days in this day and age. 3 days.
Yeah. If anybody has any other questions, please do jump in on the Google Plus event. As someone has correctly pointed out on the Twitter, thank you very much indeed for letting me know about this. That haven't really made it entirely clear about how to get to the Q&A. If you go to the Google Plus event page, and if you go to the video window and click on the Q&A button in the top corner, it'll take you to the Q&A section of the Hangout. So thank you very much indeed for letting me know about that. Hopefully it will clear it up.
I just posted the practice link for people. It's the form that we came up with. It's not the same thing as the form. It's just it'll give people an idea on how to go through, and if they want to tab versus if they want to advance through it. It's and that's all up to your keyboarding skills and in what you want to do. That's
a link that Alyssa has put up on the Q&A, and I'm certain that she'll tweet that. You're going to tweet that one out as well, if you follow Alyssa at Friends of CCI.
Sure.
Right.
I got a break.
Given us a follow-up. So friend, hubby, and I sign in for 9 a.m. Pacific, and whoever gets in first just puts the hubby and I for the rooms we want. Ah, right. Okay. So basically, it's just it's teamwork for one person. I see what I mean. And then uses the credit card details, and then the others just sign out. Okay. That makes a bit more sense, and yes, I can imagine that will work. Because that link is going to be available on the CCI website, yeah, basically anyone is going to be able to log in to the hotel sale. So a number of people who are not going, perhaps, or if you have some friends who want to help you go to get your hotel, that's one way of doing it, and that's how teamwork would work on that, I suppose.
Right.
Any other comments that have come in on the Q&A? Sorry, on the forum, Alyssa.
One of the things that people may want to also do is to help folks that honestly need the downtown hotel room. There's a gentleman who posted on the forum who has a special needs kid in a wheelchair, oxygen, the serious types of issues. Just keep an eye out on those folks and give them a hand if you can. because there's a genuine need out there for some ADA folks. And that's, just wanted to put that public service announcement out there. I know I certainly will be, because I'm a big proponent of kiddos and getting them to cons too, because it's a place where we can find our tribes, and that's a special thing. We can certainly help other people that way, and there are people who don't need a hotel room. I know I've got there's a few people who are helping in my group for submitting parking requests in that aspect. The question is since OnPeak is not being transparent with how they're accepting the applications, if somebody gets in, puts in John and Jill Smith, and then a friend of theirs get in 5 minutes later and put in, or 10 minutes later and put in John and Jill Smith, we don't quite know which one of those is going to be counted first.
Sure.
I mean, technically, we all agree that the first submission should hold. But with the duplicate submission concept and the inability to say definitively that we know that that when you submit is going to be your timestamp, because there is still a 3. It throws the whole thing into a bit of an unknown. However, certainly if you've got a couple of browsers, you may want to have a couple of waiting rooms open.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to have Firefox and Chrome going on my machine, and we'll see which one gets in first. I'm curious, and I'll be submitting for a friend of mine. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
A couple more comments coming in from Michael P. Do we know if people who want more nights will get a higher preference? I can't see how the forms are going to. I don't see how OnPeak are even going to distinguish between that. So, no, I don't think that. I don't think that's even going to become an aspect. From what we've read and what we know about OnPeak so far, I think it really is going to be a case of they're just going to process the forms, and they're not going to take any kind of preferences in terms of people wanting more nights. I just don't see how that's going to work out. In terms of the arrangement that they have with the hotels in San Diego, they just the hotels just want the rooms full, and OnPeak are just a conduit to make that happen. So I don't think there's any real relationship in terms of putting people further up the pecking order, as it were. Jason Coe, does anyone know which downtown hotels have the most rooms? Rather than focusing on distance from the convention center, I'd hedge my bets on quantity of rooms available. That's a very, very good point.
And that goes into the strategy, which I've kind of wanted to stay away from, because frankly, it's not something that I feel confident talking about, and that's a real personal choice. For example, if you're within the first 5 minutes, do you go for the top 6 downtown rooms, the MMM, the Omni, the Hilton,
The Marriott.
Yeah, you go for those core 6 rooms, those core 6 hotels, or if you're in 10 minutes later, do you go for those core 6 hotels? So there's a real question about strategy. A lot of people I know are going for the larger hotels, especially if they get in early. But there's some people who are counterculture, so to speak, and going for the boutique hotels, the Salomars, and the hotels that are still within the gas lamp but are a little bit of a walk, the Residence Inn, those kinds of places.
Sure.
So
I actually suspect those are the hotels that I'm going to be applying for personally. We've had a comment from coming on Twitter. This is from Kylie, who, having done downtown hotels and further out, the ease of a downtown hotel Certainly saves time and stress daily. However, if anyone can see a slightly wider shot of me, I could do with the exercise. So I have absolutely no problem with staying 5-6 blocks out. So
can I just bring up something here? The first year that I went, I stayed at the Porta Vista Hotel, which is about a mile away, I believe, and it took us about 25 minutes to walk because it was a straight road down to the convention centre, and it was a really nice walk there and back every single day. So don't be too worried about, we've got to be in the gas lamp. Yeah, it's great, but at the same time, just being outside of it is nice.
Yeah. It's also really fun as well, what with the pedalos. If you've got 4 or 5 friends, if you put them in pedalos last thing on a Saturday night, getting them to go 6 blocks up a hill, it's hilarious. It's so much fun to actually watch them do that. Okay, one thing actually...
You are mean.
I know I'm mean. I will...
And you are not white.
I'm going to put that out as a challenge, actually. I know we're way too late, 2 days to go. But if anyone can do that kind of, if there's a programmer out there or anyone who can do the math about the actual room capacities for the hotel rooms against kind of the downtown and the distance, that balance, I think, is a very good. I think it's a brilliant point. So. Yeah, I'd love to see someone try and do the kind of like the math as to how that would work.
I just posted on the Q&A a minute or two ago. We've got Joe Pari has done a sortable hotel map and price list, which is pretty cool. Unlike the Comic-Con one, where you can't sort things, with this one you can sort by distance to the convention center. You can sort by location, price, for a 1-person 1-bed or 2-person 2-bed. So it'll cut down a little bit of the time in looking at things. It doesn't go into room or capacity though, which is I think the question that you're most concerned about.
Sure. Okay, we have got a couple of comments. Angela Copley's said that she has got a couple of numbers. The Manchester Grand Hyatt, for example, has 1,628 rooms. The Marriott Marquis and Marina has 1,360, and the Hilton Bayfront has 1,190. That's total rooms, not necessarily what's available for the sale, but it does give you a sense of how many rooms are available on those downtown hotels.
And
Michael P. does make a note that next year you will have another new downtown hotel. As far as I was aware, there's also, isn't there a hotel also being constructed on the bay leading out of San Diego? There are hotels being constructed, and indeed there is that news, of course, that there is the submission for the hotel right at the back of the convention center as well. Who knows if that will come out.
I want to just bring out one quick thing. Angela Copley also wrote a hotel review thread for the forum, which I've also posted a link for. So she may have posted in that hotel review thread more information with regards to the size of particular hotels. So you may be able to drill down and get that room information on in the thread. Do a little bit of research there.
Sure, I've just put that at the top of the Q&A. There's a lot of stress and questioning about this whole process, and we can totally appreciate that. This is another question from Danger Daphne. During the past hotel sale, my husband and I would enter forms and they were not considered duplicates, but I guess could be different with this lottery. So only one roommate should enter a room? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
I wouldn't suggest that. I mean, I wouldn't suggest that. But as for a twin bed, number one, which I believe is the designate for having 2 beds, if you're looking for that, one of the things that you may want to do is to come up with another name. And I hate to suggest that.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Leventhal's also suggested that use different names for your roommates, since those can be changed later.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah.
It's an it's an obvious hole in their logic that if we don't drive a truck through it, they're not going to know about the hole in their logic. And I don't have a problem with exploiting something that is so obviously illogical.
No,
I mean,
it makes sense.
I hate to say this, but it's up to us to keep them honest. To point out what they're doing that's silly, and if we don't do it, how are they going to know?
Well, you'd think at this point they would do. That's my response to that. They really should have a clue at this point.
Right. Use a phone number or an address. Not names. John Smith. How many people have the name John Smith out there? You seem very fixated with this John Smith character.
It's very weird. His name keeps coming up. It's so bizarre.
Yeah. Has this person hurt you in a previous life? Did they steal your lunch money or something?
Well, it's the common name.
No. Leonard Sultana. Leonard Sultana. That's a common name. And there's going to be so many people submitting under Leonard Sultana on this hotel sale. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do.
I was never a common name until like 10 years ago, and everybody started getting my name. And then I'm like, what are you guys using my name for?
Carl Clement is asking, how many batches may there be? We have no clue. We have literally no idea, and I guarantee as well, On Peak will never reveal that number. That is just going to be such. We can't even guess. We can't even hazard a guess on that. It'd be a great question, and like I say, it would be something that would be interesting to have introduced into the process, so at least people can have a sense of where they are. It says a lot that with CCI and with the badge sale, there's a constant communication with the waiting room about where the batches are and what hotels are selling. But because we're not going to find out until, like Alyssa says, 3 days after the actual badge sale is completed, it really does seem very much like they're just taking the forms, throwing up in the air, and just kind of guessing, as it were. I think that's where a lot of people are getting very, very frustrated.
Carrie did say, she called up one On Peak, and did say that it would be time-stamped for when it was submitted. So we do have that idea, but they've also said that it's within a 3-second window. And there's also the factor of, if you're let in batch B, will all of batch A take precedence? So there's still some question in the mix that we don't know about.
I agree. As somebody who isn't attending this year, Mark, and I'm sorry to bring that up, but any kind of observations that you've made so far of this whole process? Is there anything that you've kind of look at this and just, or are you just in a head shaking mode like the rest of us?
No, I'm exactly the same as you. I read it and thought, you know what? I'm kind of pleased I'm not going this year, because this looks like too many questions with not enough answers. And I don't know. I wouldn't want to be sat there. Sorry for everybody else, but I wouldn't want to be sat there sweating it out. There's too much at stake. I think this is the thing, and especially now that they've said, hey, anybody could get a room. It's not just the people who are attending. It can be anybody. Even I could buy a room, and I'm not going. So how is this fair? Granted, this is Comic-Con. Fair doesn't come into the equation sometimes, but there's no reason why I couldn't get it and then sell it to you for 3 times as much. And it does seem a little bit, it's not particularly in favour of the people who have had to go through all of the trouble of getting those badges initially. Now it's just, hey, listen, the sale's going to happen on this date. Well, you might as well open the sale up for every hotel at any point, because that would be easier.
Fair enough. So it's a perfectly valid comment. A couple of comments on the Q&A. Let's go through them. This is Janine Lecaro. Credit card info isn't required until you are contacted with what hotel you get. So I'm guessing that'll be Friday?
The 8th.
The 8th. Okay. Let's see what else we have.
When does that work out?
We've got a comment from Betsy Woodin. I use them for Pax Prime. I'm guessing this would be travel planners or On Peak, which she's referring to. Used them for Pax Prime hotels in the past, and it went smoothly. As somebody that got the wrong form last year, I'm hopeful that this will be an improvement. So, I think the best thing we can suggest is fastest on the fingers. There is that form which Alyssa has posted. I'm certain that she's going to tweet that out again. Do follow Friends of CCI on Twitter. And yeah, do check that link out. Give it a go, if anything, just to get a sense of how to submit your details. At this point, however, we don't know if these are going to be the exact forms that we are going to be seeing on Tuesday, but it will give you a sense of the information that they are traditionally asking for.
It is not the exact form that will be seen on Tuesday. This is merely a practice form that has been generated to try and give people an idea about what we expect.
Sure.
I just did post an excellent poem for everybody's amusement. If folks didn't catch this earlier, it was written by Comic-Con Dad, and all about the hotel lottery. And it's a good long a few paragraphs on Safari, on Firefox, on Internet Explorer. Oh crap! The safe's on. The sale is on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And it goes on, and it's well worth the read between now and the sale.
Okay. A couple more comments just to wrap this up. Then we've got ourselves Aaron Neighbours, a good friend of ours. Hello, Aaron. If you aren't a collector that doesn't need a hotel room nearby the convention centre to stash your loot, do find a hotel in Mission Valley and take the trolley. It's about 15-20 minutes ride, and there is an affordable special multi-day Comic-Con pass. If, of course, you've got the Mission Valley hotels which do are on the trolley, on the shuttle service, take that as an option as well. I mean, there was a very good post on the unofficial blog talking about pitching as to why it is a good idea to get the downtown hotels, but I am one of those people that does say that a hotel is a hotel at this point. So, yeah. Another comment that's come in, and this is a very good one as well. This is regarding something that's happening next weekend. Some people are actually going to be in Seattle for Emerald City Comic-Con by Tuesday, and they're going to be slightly struggling to get themselves access to a computer at that point. So, because they're going to be getting themselves settled. Super Cat Chick on Twitter. I've stayed at the Sophia Hotel and the Keating. Both were a nice walk, but fantastic. Lots to do on the way. Both of these were booked direct before the hotel sales. This will be my first experience with the hotel sale, and I'm kind of freaked out. Cat, you are not on your own. Something that perhaps we haven't cleared up. Let's just see if we can just kind of draw a line under the discussion with this. This is from the Green Key. Still not clear on how speed plays with randomization. Fastest requests with batches, and then randomized within those? Question mark.
How it works is if, say, you and 10 other people are admitted into the buying area at the same time, it takes 9 of them a minute and a half to fill the form out. If it takes you 10 seconds or 30 seconds to fill the form out, you're a minute ahead of those other 9 people.
Okay. So it is down to, I mean, there is going to be a waiting room, but I think that's literally just so they can allocate you your form. So it is not the Cheerio situation that you have with the badge sale. There's still so much that's kind of in the air. So there we go. Best of luck, everybody. If you are taking part in the hotel sale, if you do have any more other questions, you can either head to friendsofcc.com and head to the forum and submit any questions. If you want to tweet me at Englishman SDCC, and of course Alyssa as well, we'll do what we can to find out an answer for you. 2 days to go, so please do get your questions in as soon as you can. Thank you very much indeed to everyone who took part in this conversation. Again, best of luck with Hotel Apocalypse 2016.
Hotel Lottery.
Hotel Lottery. I still prefer Hotel Apocalypse. It's still a good name for it. Okay, let's throw a couple of headlines out then, which have been announced over the last 7 days. Something that got announced pretty much the second that WonderCon got closed down. D23 has announced that its dates are going to be the 14th to the 16th of July. Now, we haven't had the official dates, of course, for San Diego Comic-Con 2017, but the San Diego Convention Center does have their events calendar blocked out for an event which has 130,000 people attending. It's safe to say that is going to be us, and that takes place the week after. People have obviously been talking about how D23 is going to affect Comic-Con in terms of the content that is brought to SDCC. Now, I'm of the opinion that in actual fact there's not going to be a great deal of things pulled just for D23, because they do recognize that the world's media and the eye is very much fixed on San Diego Comic-Con. D23 at the end of the day is very much considered a fans-attended event, much the same way as last year. People were under the impression that with Star Wars Celebration taking so close to San Diego Comic-Con, that we weren't going to get any Star Wars, and we got one of the biggest Star Wars panels going. Mark, what's your take on D23, especially when it comes to other events taking place? Star Wars Celebration somewhere happening in Europe, or wherever it's going to be in the world, and of course you've got London Film and Comic Con happening as well. What's your take on D23's announcement of their dates?
It's clear that they're trying to muscle in on San Diego. There's no two ways about it. I think they're going to see how it goes next year, but I think if it goes well for them, and I'm just talking about movies here, and Star Wars and Marvel and stuff like that, and if they start to pick up traction, as you were saying about the world's media, if they start to pick up more traction, I think by 2018 you can start to see them pulling out of stuff, or at San Diego, or they'll turn up, but the big announcement will have happened the week before at D23, so they'll just come and reinforce it or something else like that. I mean, you've got to think, you were talking about that Star Wars panel that they held. Well, not much was given away at all. It was all very secretive still. Yeah, there was the concert and everything else like that. Great, fantastic. But at the same time, they're still very secretive about it, and they only want to give it away at their own thing, because then they go, oh, at D23, Disney said. So it's all, it's all in one big circle for Disney, in that we get the press at our place, we get the press at our place.
Understandable. I appreciate that. I don't know if, we've had a couple of comments. People, Dan Berry has turned around and said D23 and SDCC 2017 back-to-back. Very excited, admittedly, for people that, like myself, that are coming from a little bit further afield, and indeed from people who are coming from across the country. That's an expensive proposition, sir. So very curious to see.
I need to relay just a short little story. So I misread the date on this and thought it was this year. So I asked my boss for the weekend off before Comic-Con. So in anticipation of going both weekends.
Oh dear.
Yes. So I've got something I need to do.
Okay. Other headlines that have come around, so there's D23. Her Universe, the fashion show, has been announced for the Manchester Grand Hyatt. So this is one of the big off-site events taking place at the Manchester Grand Hyatt on the 21st of July at 6 p.m. This is going to be, if you've kind of been paying attention to the announcements from Comic-Con On Demand, they are supporting Her Universe and have been supporting Her Universe for some time. It's a very big part of the on-demand programming, so do expect to see a fair amount of Her Universe stuff on release when they finally get on the like 7th of May, when they do actually get that channel up and running. So if you're big on your fashion, yeah, on-demand may be a big part of your programming, which is very, very strange. But there we go. Comment that's come in on the Q&A, back to the hotels very briefly. Dan Berry, if you plan to arrive the week before Comic-Con this year, a lot of hotels may be booked due to the Major League Baseball game taking place at Petco Park on the 12th. Whee! The look on Alyssa's face alone just kind of sold that to me. That was just, what?
I've got to still book for Monday night.
Yes, go sports. The good news for me on that one is, with fingers crossed, that I'm actually going to be still in London at this point because Star Wars Celebration. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Let's have a look at what else. Right. Before I do Batman vs Superman, just very quickly, I just wanted to do a couple of quick ones in terms of just to kind of show off. Thank you very much indeed for everyone who has texted me this week for the support for the website for EnglishmanInSanDiego.com. Thank you very much indeed for that, and also the comments that I've been making to one or two people regarding the UK attendees group that's on Facebook. I just wanted to show these off because I just want to show them off because I think they're rather cool. Every year what we do is we have souvenir shirts or shirts for the UK attendees, just so we can kind of distinguish ourselves out in the crowd. And we usually, in the last couple of years, we've gotten ourselves our logos presented or created by artists that have done fantastic adaptations of the Comic-Con logo. We've had Lee Gallagher do a brilliant John Constantine. We had Ian Churchill doing a great Gandalf last year. But we got two this time round because we actually put it through to the UK attendees group, which character or Brit-related character would you like to see in the logo? And it was a dead heat, and it was Agent Carter, and it was V from V for Vendetta. So, as it happens, I managed to get hold of, let me just see if I can bring this up. This was, yeah, just screen say share. This, so if you can see on the screen at the moment, this is one of the logos that was produced by the British Comic Awards Best Newcomer Artist. This is Agent Carter, as done by Rachel Stott, which I particularly like. This is going to be very. Will be cut out from the audio version, obviously, because you can't actually see. But if you do see this logo on a T-shirt around San Diego this year, you are looking at a Brit. Go and give them a hug because they kind of need your love, if you wouldn't mind. But also, we were got in contact. Yes, give them a hug. We're friendly.
Free hugs, people, please.
Yes. Hugs are great. But also, I managed to get in contact with David Lloyd, who is the co-creator of V for Vendetta, and he went ahead and actually created this for us as well. This is the other T-shirt logo that's going to be sort of like spotted around San Diego. The eye from V for Vendetta's mask, as done by David Lloyd. I just wanted to show those off. So there we go. So that's
Nice.
the two logos that you'll be seeing around San Diego, hopefully. So there we go. Right, right, Mark. Let's get into this.
Yeah.
Last weekend saw the release of Batman vs Superman. If you want to launch into your thoughts and opinions of the film, sir.
Well, you've seen it as well, Leonard, so we can talk about it. Alyssa, don't believe you've seen it, have you?
I have.
Right, okay.
Excellent.
I mean, we're not going to do spoilers. We're not going to talk spoilers because that's unfair, but I'm going to allude to a couple of things. Okay, first, let's get it out of the way. It's too long. It's too long. It can be trimmed by 20 minutes. Do we really need to see another Batman backstory? Yes, it's nice to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan in a film, a big film, but at the same time, we don't need to see it. Do we need to see A recap of Man of Steel, not particularly. I know Batman, I know Bruce Wayne's in it, but no, we don't need it. So I think it can be trimmed by 20 minutes. Also, I kind of found it jumped all over the place, different locations, and it wasn't really sure where it wanted to stay at different points. So at times you were like, well, where are we now? What's happening? And stuff like that. The main problem is Jesse Eisenberg. I don't know who's chosen this guy to play Lex Luthor. And, I mean, I think he's a perfectly fine actor in some things. I think he's very good in Social Network. But this role is very bizarre. He's not playing Lex Luthor. He's playing the Joker. It's the Joker he's playing because of his eccentricities and all of his twitches and stuff like that. And I really wanted the film to have the twist that actually he's not Lex Luthor. He's the Joker, because that would have been a brilliant twist on it. But he's not. So he's not the right person. It just really annoyed me every time he was on screen that he didn't feel like the calculating bad guy genius that Luthor is. Now, Leonard, you're going to say something here, I bet.
I actually had no problem with Jesse Eisenberg. If anything, off the back of a deleted scene that was revealed last week. Again, we're not going to go into spoilers, but there is a scene where Luthor is very much set up as in communication with another character, which doesn't necessarily feature in the film. Off the back of that, and if that was just put into the background of the film, it really would have felt that the twitchiness was being justified in that he recognizes that there is this other presence which has also kind of revealed itself to Bruce Wayne and to other characters in the film in terms of visions and the dreams that have been discussed a lot on social media. I think that there was something there. It just seemed a little bit, like you say, a little bit too wiry. It also didn't quite sit with what the actual plans of Luthor were, which is to set up the big battle between Batman versus Superman. It was too convoluted. I can kind of understand where it was coming from on reflection and looking back to it, and I do feel that there is a performance there. That was my take on the film generally. There is a great film in here. There's a great film in Batman vs Superman, but it was just desperately trying to get out. For a film which apparently we've heard there's going to be another 30 minutes on top for an R-rated version. I'm sorry, but this is going to be one of the first films where I've actually walked out and promised myself that I will be getting a digital copy and editing the crap out of this thing. You're absolutely right. The Batman origin story can go straight away. There's just so much in that first 45 minutes that can just be re-edited just to give it a foundation, and it's just not there, in my opinion. Alyssa, you look like you've got something to say.
A couple of things, and I'm not quite sure about the echo. But Mark, your point that Eisenberg wasn't quite the right character for Lex Luthor struck me as true. I'm recalling the Fisk character in the Netflix series Daredevil, and thinking that perhaps something with a little bit more character with a little bit more weight to it would have been more Lex Luthor-ish than Eisenberg's portrayal. I would have enjoyed. I think I would have. I agree with you that I would have enjoyed seeing that. And perhaps he wasn't the right actor for that particular role. The other thing that I had wanted to comment on is that nobody really liked the Batman. The character, the actor who played Batman, when he. Well, remember the big hoopla when he was announced as Batman? A lot of people really disliked. They thought, "Oh, Ben Affleck as Batman, really?" And I mean, the whole social media just burnt down for, I don't know, days going on about that one. But to my mind, him and Jeremy Irons were key and central. I mean,
Yeah.
That's the thing that I really remember about the movie was those two characters. Superman, not so much.
No. I mean, you're absolutely right, and I can't wait to see those two in that solo Batman movie. If somebody has got Jeremy Irons nailed down in a contract, that person deserves a raise. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go on.
I know him and Ben Affleck together were amazing.
Yeah. What was your take on Wonder Woman, Mark?
Loved it. I love the fact that it slowly brought it in. We knew who she was. It's obvious, but I like the fact that she's there. She's watching. She's waiting until the right time, and then when it comes in, I'm not going to lie, I was like that. Yes. She was the best person in that battle scene. She was the best person. I thought they handled it perfectly for her. I really did. Going back to what Alyssa was saying about Batman, when they announced Michael Keaton, the fans were in uproar. When they announced Christian Bale, the fans were in uproar. Now now they're the ones that people want to see. Affleck was always the right choice for two reasons. One, he can now do action. He's an action man. You watch The Town, sensational in it. And also, here's the most important thing: if you're going to be Batman, you've got to have the chin, and he's got the chin. He has. Well, just look at it. He's got the chin. It's perfect. It's almost like he's developed it over the past year or something. But I loved him. I thought he was fantastic in it. It goes back to the comic book Batmans. It's not the visual ones. It's not the ones that Tim Burton did or Nolan did or anything else like that. This is very much a different Batman. And I thought he was great. I agree with you, Leonard. Superman. Well,
I think the issue that I have with Superman, and I think the general issue I have with this approach of superheroes, and you kind of get it as well, and you understand where Zack Snyder's fascination with Watchmen was as well. And indeed, if you see other films that he's done, the idea of doing good and doing good for good's sake is almost treated as a faux pas. It's kind of like it's something that would never happen. That there's always going to be a consequence to doing good that is going to come round and bite you further down the line, and it's kind of like an ethos of the film, which I don't get when I read Superman in comics. The idea when I read Superman is that the guy is out to do good, regardless of to bring real world politics into it. I find awkward in a superhero movie, and also just the idea that I can understand the whole idea of bringing Superman in front of a congressional panel, because at the end of the day there's that kind of requirement of oversight, kind of. But I do feel that even with Batman or with anyone that wants to do good, that there's kind of this poison pill in the background. I think that's what sours the taste of Batman versus Superman for myself and a lot of people, personally.
Well, you're saying there about real-world politics. I mean, the whole film is clearly an allegory towards 9/11 and how the world dealt with it afterwards. I mean, it's pretty obvious the way that Snyder has just gone, right, it's here, just watch it. He's not done it subtly. But then that leads me on to the second point, which is Zack Snyder is a visual director. You're not going to get subtlety with him. He doesn't do subtle. I mean, we've seen it in Sucker Punch. We've seen it in Watchmen. So this film is always going to be about the visuals. And in all honesty, I was prepared for it this time. And whilst the ending is very much like watching a friend play a non-stop computer game for half an hour, and it be completely in your face and like some sort of strobe light, like you're at a disco or something. It kind of fitted in with this film, I thought. I thought he'd handled it a lot better and almost pulled it in a little bit. And by the end, by that 45-minute ending, I was really impressed with it. I was like, yeah, actually, you know what? This is fitting in with much more what I wanted to see from this film. But that's because I'm expecting it to be a Zack Snyder film. It's meant to be visual. If you want depth, you go and watch a Christopher Nolan film. because he brings the depth to it. He doesn't bring visuals.
Would you say that with the promotion for this film, did we pretty much see the film in the trailers? Was there any surprises left that were worth the ticket money?
No. No, I mean, they gave it away, didn't they? This is the problem. The second trailer gave everything away. The problem was they brought out the first trailer and everybody went, what was that? That shows us nothing. Then the second trailer, they said, right, we'll show you everything. And it ruined it. It really did. And you were talking about promotion. I mean, I don't know what it was like in the US, but here in the UK, the promotion was terrible. Absolutely terrible. The only interesting thing they had was the Turkish Airlines adverts, which were very smartly done.
Yeah.
But the rest of it was awful. It was almost like they were very afraid of it. And I was talking to a friend, and it kind of related to how when Christopher Nolan was releasing Batman Begins, and Warners were very sort of, well, how's this going to play out? And I remember paying to go and see Batman Begins 4 days before release, and there was half a dozen people in the cinema because they were like, well, we're not sure how this is going to play out. We've got to be really careful. And that kind of feels like what's happened here as well, is that they're like, well, we're trying to create a Marvel universe with DC product, but we're not sure how to do it because we're running behind. When in actual fact, they should be, this is DC. We're completely different. You should run for it. That's the whole point.
Okay, well, we'll go to Alyssa then. As a DC fan, I mean, what was your take on it, especially when it comes to the setup of a DC universe? I mean, we kind of, I saw your face flinch there when I said that it really did feel like they kind of revealed a lot of things. They obviously didn't reveal about the Justice League. I mean, what was your take on that?
First off, I'm not a huge DC fan, more of a Marvel fan. No worries. I just have to be clear. So I want to qualify that because I don't really know what I'm talking about. just set this up right, here. I like their setup for it, and I think that I kind of disagree with you a little bit, Mark. I think that their introduction of Wonder Woman, when probably a lot of people who are more used to the DC universe are just used to Superman and Batman, and they don't really kind of understand that there is a wealth of characters out there. They're starting to get to know that with the TV shows, but by bringing Wonder Woman in such a powerful way, I was a little unhappy initially with the casting of that, because to my mind, I want to see somebody more Agent Carter that that can, if she throws a punch, you get a feeling that there's some weight behind it.
I saw her when she.
Oh yeah, no, I'm saying I was wrong. About the casting of Wonder Woman, and I'm now a convert on that, because she absolutely had the action thing, but I think that that's going to take us into hopefully the next generation of DC movies that are coming out, and I'm looking forward to them. So that's my take on the next ones.
Sure. A couple of comments on the Q&A. Michael P. I want to say that Wonder Woman is the best thing about Batman vs. Superman. I liked the film. I'm not too sure if it was Michael I had a conversation with, that I actually believe that the score wasn't so hot with this particular film. I listened to it the week before the film came out, and yes, there are some big themes in there, and a lot of people did point out the Wonder Woman theme. When you're watching the film again, if you are a fan of Led Zeppelin, if you are aware of the song, the Immigrant Song, have that playing in your head when Woman. It's the same bloody record. It's the Immigrant Song from Led Zeppelin. So I will also, when I do my edit, that's going in there. So
anything that references Led Zeppelin has got to be cool. Just saying.
Right. Scott has put a comment in. The problem with Batman vs. Superman is it was focusing too much on setting up the Justice League rather than making a good story. Jesse Eisenberg was a better villain in The Social Network. Batman and Superman were the best elements and did enjoy those two, but they couldn't save the film. I wouldn't say that the film was completely sunk by I just feel that the film was sunk by the storyteller, by Zack Snyder, in my opinion. I do actually feel that it. I mean, the film was the actual production or the live action, the camera production finished at the end of 2014, which means this film had a year and a half in the edit suite, and I just think they overcooked it. In my opinion, it's down to the edit. It was down to the way that the story developed, and yeah, like Mark said, the first 2/3, my God, they take some getting through.
But let me ask this question though, and this is for everybody really. When Batman versus Batman squared off against Superman, did you honestly think, or did you think, okay, here we go, this is it, this is what I've been waiting for? I'm going to go with option B for 99% of people.
Yeah, I'm down with that, and also admittedly there was. Okay, I'm not. I was going to say a couple of things then because it would have spoiled the fight, but I did like the fact that they did take a lot of elements from Dark Knight Returns in terms of what Batman and Bruce Wayne were going to do, basically to bring Superman down a peg or two. But there was still that element in the background as well with... Actually, no, I'm going to kind of redress myself there. I liked the fact that they used those elements to bring him down a peg, but it also did feel that Superman was pulling his punches because of an element a story element that takes place in the film. That's not what we wanted to see. We wanted to see them going at it, full on. That we wanted an absolute Batman versus Superman.
We wanted the immovable object versus the unstoppable force, is what you're saying.
We didn't want anyone pulling their punches, and there was an element of that. Yeah. When you're talking about that face-to-face square-off.
It's still cool, though. I mean, it's still cool. For anybody who loves Batman or loves Superman, you've always wanted to see it. You're like, okay, here we go. And, you know, whether it lived up to it towards the end, that moment where they got nose-to-nose, yeah, okay, I know it looks like they're going to kiss, but at the same time, it was still kind of cool.
But this is the inherent problem with Superman that was tried to be addressed in the 80s when they redid him in the whole Man of Steel thing in the comics form, is that he's invincible. He's super strong and invincible. How are you going to... That's the problem with him. So you had to give him the vulnerability to be able to fight a mere mortal like Batman. You know, it was a story element that had to be in place. And I understand what you're saying, that you wanted to see him going at it full bore. But Superman would annihilate the whole world if he could, you know, if there was, you know, if, you know, he has the power to do it.
There's just too many ifs when it comes to this film. Here's a comment. I'd like to know what your take on this. This is from Bradley Goran. The problem with Batman vs. Superman is that it was a superhero movie without superheroes. In that everyone's a little bit too grey area.
It's a very good question. I would refer Bradley back to Iron Man 3, which is a superhero movie without superheroes. That is basically Lethal Weapon, that film. And Leonard's going to... Here we go. It's not a superhero film, Leonard. It's not.
You don't have to have an outfit to be a superhero. And I'm sorry, but I will once again, in public, turn around and say, I loved Iron Man 3. I loved that film. I loved it. And I will defend that love till the grave. So there we go.
Yeah.
No, listen. I know I'm already on a losing streak with this.
In all honesty, that question is, it's a very valid point in that it does create a lot of who's the man behind the mask. But you know, that's kind of, I think that's more interesting for somebody like DC. You know, with Marvel, it's got there. Oh, Alyssa's going to tell me no now.
No. I'm going to actually agree with you because I think that Marvel takes the superhero into the real life, whereas DC has always kind of had this, I'm not in this world, therefore I am more of a superhero, you know, I'm more of the traditional superhero like Superman, and he does no wrong. And I think DC bringing superheroes into the real life and into the real world will make them more relevant to us. Being a superhero is a choice. and it's making the right choice. Like I was just rewatching Ultron, Scarlet Witch. She made the choice to become a superhero, and Batman made the choice to become a superhero. Superman, just had these powers, and I think that that's what DC is trying to overcome, is making them more relevant to us. So I think I think it was a superhero movie. I respectfully disagree with the commenter.
Let's see what else.
I've got something else I can just bring up quickly, which is not going to contain spoilers, but I just want to talk about the ending quickly.
Scott's actually asked thoughts on Doomsday. I'm guessing that's where we're going.
No, I'm going to go beyond Doomsday. The last 30 seconds of the film, and if you've seen the film, you'll know what I'm talking about. The last 25 seconds are clearly Christopher Nolan's work. The last 5 seconds are Zack Snyder. No, they're not Zack Snyder's. I take that back. They're the studio's work, and that annoyed me. It so annoyed me because I sat there and thought, I've really enjoyed this. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, yes, do it. And excuse my language here, they pussied out. They did. And it really annoyed me because I wanted them to do what it looked like they were going to do, and I was like, great, fantastic.
Just
it was
to
a bit
let
of a shame.
If you haven't seen the film, not to spoil anything, but this we're talking about is the Batman Superman sex scene that's in the final section of the film. Yes, the studio did kind of change their mind. We've been told it is going to be an R-rated edit when it comes out on home cinema. That's what they're talking about. That's it. So, yeah.
And you guys were giving me such a hard time about having a potty mouth before we went on air.
That's true. We were, Alyssa. Yeah. If you could just keep the language down, please, Alyssa, that would be fantastic.
That's where you see you've got to learn. It's all about innuendo. Okay. Let's see what else. Michael Leventhal. I'm guessing this is a Saki comment. I enjoyed the 3 intro movies they gave us in the span of 6 minutes. He's not lying.
It was like the ending of The Hobbit right at the beginning, wasn't it?
Just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
And what else? We've got Sarita P saying, I can't quite work out what she's saying here because I think she's typed this in a bit of a rush. The use of Lois Lane as a major part of the movie as to how she was a damsel in distress and in the ending. I think that's...
No, I'd agree with that. I've seen a lot of people say that it's a redundant character, and the final third is a little bit of a wet fish for her, but she is very much a damsel in distress, and they always work very well in this type of movie.
I wouldn't say that she's entirely redundant, but when you've got Martha Kent there's 2 characters serving the same purpose. We won't say any further because, that kind of talks about the plot. Okay. Let's ask the question then. Well, we'll ask a couple of questions. To the pair of you, would you recommend people to go see the film?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Alyssa?
It depends on the person, but probably.
Okay. Number 2, did you enjoy the film? Out of 5, what would you give it? Mark?
I don't know, 3.5.
Okay, so a strong 3?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wrote the word solid down.
Okay. Fair enough. Alyssa?
I'll probably go with a 3-2, also. A 3 also. Yeah, because I inherently love Jeremy Irons and Ben Affleck.
Okay.
I love that I love those 2 characters.
And third and final question: if you had to go and see the film again in the cinema, would Wild Horses drag you back?
Yes.
Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do you know what? In all honesty, I saw it on the Wednesday night, and I was going to go and see it on the Friday, apart from the fact that there was no trains running from near my house, so I couldn't get to the cinema. But I would have gone again. And do you know what? I probably will go again.
I will go again and see it simply because I saw it during WonderCon and I was little bit tired, so I may or may not have fallen asleep a few times. Shh.
Okay.
But this also goes to say I haven't seen Daredevil season 2 yet.
Okay.
So that gives an idea about how far behind I am, and I most likely won't get to see anything until after hotel sales.
Fair enough. Right, and last but not least, let's do a 5-minute conversation about this. This is off the back of a tweet that was made today, basically saying that off the back of the performance of Batman vs Superman, which it did do incredibly well in that first week, but it hasn't done a fantastic follow-up weekend. It did take quite the plummet on the second, and this is why I was talking about repeat viewing. The question becomes whether the performance of this film will affect the panel in Hall H from DC Warner Brothers, basically making this an absolutely critical panel at this year's Comic-Con. Thoughts, Alyssa? You see you shaking your head.
I mean, I don't think it's going to affect the DC panel. The DC folks are DC folks, and they're going to remain. They're going to remain loyal to it. I mean, Hall H folks are Hall H folks. I mean, I know that there's been a lot of people who've kind of not wanted to do the 24-hour thing, like yourself, Leonard. But I think people are going to learn how to work within the system a little bit better and not have to spend the full 24 hours in line waiting for the Hall H. But the folks that like the big movie announcements are going to be there for the big movie announcements.
Yeah.
That's what they do. It's just like, the floor. That's what I do. It's what makes the con for me. So I don't think it's going to have any effect on that whatsoever.
Okay. Mark?
No. I hope it wouldn't. I really hope that DC executives stay strong and stay to their plan. From what I've seen, it's a very good plan. I think Suicide Squad is going to be their dark horse this year. I really do. I think that's going to surprise a lot of people. And I really want them to stick with it. They've got a very good set of actors who they can call on. And as David Ayer said last year in Hall H, DC have got the best villains.
And their TV has done great. I mean, they should take that as a motivating too. I know it's not the same thing as movies, but
no, I agree with you, Alyssa. I think DC are winning the war at TV against Marvel. I really do. I think they're absolutely smashing it.
Yeah.
I just feel that when it comes to their films, they're not standing behind their product enough. They're not confident. It doesn't feel like they're confident enough behind their products. That's just my sense of it. But the fact that they took so long to edit Batman vs Superman and just buckled under multiple pressures, I'm just feeling that they just don't. I mean, personally, I just feel it's actually filmmaking by publicity department, and they never know what the hell they're doing.
But you know what? That was leveled at Age of Ultron as well.
True. I think that was a valid argument as well.
Yeah, I just think when you've got multi-billion-dollar assets like Marvel, like DC have, you can't just let it go to one man. I mean, I think they were very lucky with how Christopher Nolan dealt with it, because they saw how Batman Begins became this huge film, and they weren't sure, and they just said, okay, listen, you deal with it. But now they're like, we've seen what Marvel's done, we want that, but we're going to do it, we're going to colour in the numbers, and we're going to give you number 5 and number 7. You've got to include those or something.
I agree, but I also would say that it's felt that up to past the Batman films from Christopher Nolan, that it has felt like filmmaking by committee. With Christopher Nolan, even when you listen to him in interviews, it sounds like he's going to do and make the film he's going to make. So it's a singular voice. This just sounds like too many people, too many cooks stirring this particular pot.
Yep.
But there you go. Right. I think we've kept everyone way past their bedtime here in the UK, certainly. And you've got other things to do on a Sunday, like picking your hotels. So do head to comic-con.org/CCI/hotels. Do check out the options that are up for grabs. Hopefully on Tuesday you will have all the luck in the world, and really do. I cross my fingers for you, and I hope you have a successful hotel sale. Thank you very much indeed to my guest, Alyssa Franks. Where can people find you online?
On the forum, friendsofcc.com/forum. I've also got, we've got a really good front page going with a bunch of hotel stuff. As soon as we find out some more information, hopefully, about the tech, we will post it. We're hoping that we'll get another round of information from people, CCI and on Peak, and be able to post that and give people more help in the sorting on Tuesday and the reveal on Friday.
Excellent. I personally also would like to say thank you very much indeed to Alyssa for her coverage of C2E2 and of WonderCon. She did a cracking job for us on the Hangouts. We got some brilliant interviews out of it, and for that, Alyssa, thank you so much indeed. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Mark, thank you very much indeed for sitting there through our hotel sale pish and bibble, so we could talk Batman and Superman eventually. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Where can people find you online, sir?
Got my own website, which is marksearby.com. I'm also on Twitter at @mark_Searby. Every Thursday night here in the UK, you can hear me on any of the 5 Anglian radio stations. I also tweet out a link so you can listen online, normally talking about the films of the week and DVDs and films on TV as well.
Excellent. If people are watching this in the US and you're wondering what Anglia is, if you go and rent the film Deliverance, that'll give you a really good sense of what East Anglia and Anglia is like. So. There we go.
I would like to just put one word out there to anybody that's going to ECC this weekend. If you're interested in giving us a report from the con next week, I'm sure that Leonard and I would love to have you on.
Yeah. If anyone is going, if you've got mobile data and you've got a Google Plus account, yeah, let us know. We'd love to have you jump in. Yes, myself, Len Sultani, you can find me online at anenglishmaninsandiego.com or indeed on our social media. If you just type in Englishman in San Diego into Google, you'll find us on multiple platforms, including Twitter, Englishman SDCC. Thank you very much indeed for your company. As of next week, we will be doing some more giveaways in terms of we're starting back up with Dark Bunny Teas as of next Sunday, and hopefully we're in a couple of negotiations for some special guests. So yes, do join us next week for another Talking Comic Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego, from 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 6 p.m. GMT, where hopefully we'll also be talking about a relatively smooth hotel sale. From us to you, all the very best to you. Enjoy the rest of your week and your Sunday, and we'll see you soon. Take care, everyone. Oh,
bye.
Bye-byes from everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
It's like play school. Bye.
Bye.